Hello, everybody. I'm setting up my live streams here for the first time, and I'm doing an equipment check to make sure my video and audio is sounding nice and clean. So if anybody's watching right now in the comments, please let me know how's the video coming through, and how's the audio coming through. Let me lower this down here. I want to know if there's any echoes going on, anything weird or funky, because I haven't done this before. And I wanted to start doing some live streams and communicating and talking to you guys, getting to know everybody, as well as you guys getting to know me a little bit. So if anybody is on here, please let me know. If everybody can hear and see me well. Goodbye, Blue Sky. Все отлично. Спасибо, благодарю. Как звучит? Как все выглядит? Хорошо, чисто, нормально. Нету никакого там странного звука. Is there any echoes, guys? I'm curious. Are there any echoes or anything weird going on like that? Please say yes if there's an echo, no if there's no echoes. Goodbye, Blue Sky. Thank you. I love that. Pink Floyd. Right on. One of my favorite jams. Great movie, by the way, too. What was the name of that Pink Floyd movie? God, I watched it like a million times, and right now I don't happen to remember the name. Okay. We have one person. We have two people here. How do I say your name? Elijah? All good. Sound and video perfect. No echo. Okay, that's a good sign right there. Oh, what's up, babe? Jessica Alexander. There's my wife. Sound is great. You're supposed to be at work. You shouldn't be watching this. And then again, you're always welcome to. Guys, how's everything looking and sounding? I'm not sure if I'm actually going to do a full stream yet. I don't know if I should. I just wanted to set everything up. This is the first time I'm connecting everything, setting up my equipment, learning how to use this whole thing. Last night, I was setting up a Telegram group. I wanted to create a Telegram group chat. I was suggested that it was a good idea. Babe, thank you. The Wall, yes, babe, thank you. Yes, the movie, The Wall. Very popular, famous movie. It's an older movie, but it's basically based on the Pink Floyd soundtrack. So all of their songs from their popular album are on there. Okay. Guys, the cameras are working good. We got switchers going. We got visuals. We got audio. Marat Casey. Ничего не нагимаю, но очень интересно. Ничего не погимаю, но очень интересно. Блин, мне надо будет научиться говорить по-русски получше. Наверное, вы, ребята, меня научите. Кто тут еще? Goodbye, Blue Sky. Iliha. My wife, Jessica. Always good to have you. Marat, KZ. Greetings. First live stream. Just a quick question, guys. Is there any lag between video and audio? Like, are my lips moving at the same time as the video? Is there any lag? Не понимаю. Ничего не понимаю. Окей, понял. Но очень интересно. Спасибо. Ну, как мне быть? Мне говорить по-русски, по-английски, оба. Я не знаю, если будут субтитры на это работать. Я бы хотел, чтобы все могли смотреть и понимать. Maybe I can do half and half, 50-50, 50 на 50, половину на половину. Я не думал, что я буду делать первый лайвстрим. Я просто хотел все подключить. Посмотреть, если все мои камеры и звук работает. No lag. Thank you, babe. Русский язык очень простой. Я на нем много лет говорю и никаких проблем не испытываю. Слава богу, я могу еще пока читать. Не забыл. После 30 с чем-то лет в Америке Я благодарю Бога, что я еще не забыл язык как-то. По какой-то там... Не знаю, как я его не использую вообще. У меня друзей почти русских нету. Два русских друзей есть. Но мы не общаемся как очень много. English, please, more important. Okay, let's have a vote, guys. How many of you guys in the group chats would prefer I speak English? And how many of you guys would prefer I speak Russian? I'm not sure I could do the whole live stream in Russian anyway. All right, give me some votes, guys. Russian or English? Let's see who's let's see what we could do here. Guys, please hit the like button on this chat. I want to make sure that people are coming into the chat, coming into the live stream. We have 10 viewers. English is probably better in a sense that more people will understand you. Woomy24, thank you. So, okay, so one thing that we got out of the way is that we have no lag, we have good audio, and we have good visuals, right? Everybody, thumbs up, yes, please, on the video. We have 14 viewers now. Wow. Okay, you know, guys, when I started this channel, I did not expect anybody to be interested in this type of stuff. I just did this on a whim 2 weeks ago. I posted my first 5 videos, I think it is now. And it seems that there's quite a few of you guys that are actually interested in this stuff. So, interestingly, I've been told by many people for years and years that I have a rather unique and interesting story to tell and that I should tell it. A few people actually suggested that I write a book. I was thinking about doing this ever since our second trip to Russia, which is actually when we hatched the idea to start a YouTube channel. I was talking about it with my wife. And the plan was to start it as soon as we got back. We got back in 2021. I don't know how many of you guys here in the chat right now watched all of my previous videos. But yes, we wanted to start a YouTube channel, and I've been kind of avoiding doing it because some of the subjects, I think some things in my life events and my story are very personal, and it took me a lot to start this channel and start opening up to a bunch of strangers on YouTube essentially. But I felt that, you know, maybe I should do this. Maybe it's a good idea to share some of my story because it's quite unique. And we never know who's watching. And, you know, I thought that maybe there's somebody out there that may potentially have similar experiences. So I wanted to see if maybe I can help someone or relate to somebody. And I've gotten quite a few messages, guys, from a lot of my recently new subscribers telling me that they have very similar experiences. They've also had very tough, abusive childhoods like I did, and got through it. So it means a lot to me whenever I get these types of messages from people that are willing to share with not just myself, but with a broader audience here. So let's see what we have going on. Let's read some comments. We have Марат Кейзи. Мы можем быть твоими русскими друзьями. Обязательно. Мне очень приятно. Нио Ромуль. Извиняюсь, если я неправильно говорю ваше имя. Здравствуйте, удачи, спасибо, благодарю, удачи вам. Neo-Cubism, hey buddy, I'm easygoing, can do both Russian or English, just go with the majority of your audience. Yes, everything is good, Woomy24, thank you. Galaxy, watched all of your videos and commented on your Telegram channel a while ago, thank you. So I'd like to know, I didn't really have any plans. I'm kind of just going off of the top of my head here. I didn't have any plans to do a live stream. I wanted to test my equipment, see what happens. We have, at the moment, 15 viewers here, 19 views. Okay. I'd like to ask you guys, where is everybody from? Just let me know in the chat, where is everybody watching this from? Please let me know. I am here in Orlando, Florida. Our local time right now is 6:21 p.m. in the evening. So please let me know where everybody is viewing this from. I'm highly interested. How many different states or countries do we have here? Thank you, guys. Okay. Yeah, it's funny. Somebody mentioned to me the other day that they think I have an interesting voice. I'll be honest with you guys. I hate my voice. I actually cringe at the thought of watching myself on camera or listening to myself. Somebody actually told me that I should sing. So if this video can get, let's see, if we can get 100 likes on this live stream, I'll sing to you guys. Deal? Mikhail Davidov, hi from Russia. Hello, Mikhail. Добро пожаловать. Спасибо. Москва, Марат Кейзи. Москва. Я люблю вас. Спасибо. Так скучаю о Москве. Ну, хотелось бы завтра улететь, если бы я мог. Москва. South Africa in the house. Hello, South Africa. Mikhail Davidov. Hello from Russia. Hello to you from sunny Orlando, Florida. How's the weather? I heard you guys got some snow again recently. Russia, St. Petersburg, 2 a.m. My sleep schedule is so bad last couple of weeks. Tell me about it, Wumi24. Oh my God, 2 a.m. I guess some of you guys sleep as bad as I do. Most nights I don't go to bed till 1 or 2 a.m. It's been like this for years. I don't sleep well. Andrei Piquet, Moskva. We have a lot of Moscow in the house today. Mikhail Skachkov. Howdy, howdy. Howdy back. Greetings, welcome. Thank you for joining. Thank you guys for tuning in. Guys, if you can share this live stream with your friends and family, let's try to get some people in here. Currently we have 18 viewers, which is great. Let's smash that like button because I definitely plan on doing these things again. I want to do it a little bit more professionally. I'm kind of going off of the top of my head, off of the whim here. The goal was to, as people are joining, I just wanted to let you know that the goal was to originally just set this thing up in the first place to see how this all works. I've never done a YouTube broadcast, a YouTube live stream before, so I want to make sure that all my equipment works. Neo-Cubism, it's crazy because I can relate to your story. I was moved out of Russia at a young age. I was then placed into an abusive situation. Wow. In my early 30s, considering moving back to homeland. Hi from Edinburgh. Wow. Neo-Cubism, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I understand where you're coming from. My situation, I have a younger brother, a year younger than me, and it was not an easy situation. You know, my brother and I have been through a lot. I've come to a form of acceptance in my life about the circumstances, but, you know, it cost me a lot of years. I dealt with a lot. I dealt with depression, post-traumatic stress, anxiety, substance abuse back in my earlier years in my 20s to try to drown out the pain, to numb myself out because I had so much numbness from all the pain that I experienced growing up. Things that I thought were actually normal. You know, at one point, maybe when I was around 7, 8, or 9 years old, when I first started school, back when we first moved to America, I started elementary school. And, you know, I thought this type of horrors that were happening to myself and my brother in our home happened to everybody because I was very isolated from everyone else. American in Russia, what's up, brother? Jonathan, good to have you, man. Thank you for joining. Sup, looks good, sounds good. Thank you. That's good to hear. Jonathan, your Russian is просто обалденно. Ты молодец. Like, me and my wife watched all your videos. I gotta say, and for everybody in the chat watching, guys, there's this guy here. YouTube channel is American in Russia. His name is Jonathan. This guy recently moved himself to Russia. He has been there. But John, and I hope you don't mind if I tell your story a little bit from what I know. I hope, and correct me if I get anything wrong. But Jonathan has been to Russia many, many years ago in the past when he was younger. And it left a very lasting impression on him. And he always felt sentimental and nostalgic about it, if I'm understanding correctly. Always thought about Russia, living, going back there, visiting. And so recently, with no ties to Russia, no relatives, no roots, no connections, no language, the guy gets a visa, Jonathan, and goes to Russia and moves to St. Petersburg. Now he's studying Russian. He's doing an amazing job. He's got a great channel going. He's documenting pretty much his day-to-day adventures there, going to Russian class. We love his channel. He's just starting out, so make sure you guys follow his channel. Please subscribe to him. He's got really good content, and we know that he's going to do big things here on YouTube. Jonathan, thank you for coming into the chat. It's really great to have you. It's a pleasure. Guys, we have 19 viewers right now. This is wonderful. Okay, so I know that this thing works, so that's great. So we have a lot of viewers from St. Petersburg. We have Moscow. We have South Africa. Howdy, howdy, howdy. Neo-Cubism, once again, thank you for sharing that personal story with us. Goodbye, blue sky. Ijevsk. I don't know where that is. Where is that? What part of Russia is that? Mikhail Davidov, we have snow, -8. Wow. You know, and it's funny because when we were in Russia during our last trip, we were freezing. You guys got to understand, we live in Florida. We've been living in Florida for the past 7 years. You know, we moved here originally from New York, but in that 7 years' time, our blood has thinned out. We have acclimated to the heat because, guys, we have only 2 seasons here. We have hot and we have hotter. Right now, this time of year is considered our winter time. It's really pleasant. The temperature here, I'll tell you guys right now, is 16 degrees here in Orlando, where I'm located. But yes, I remember we went to Russia for New Year's in 2021, and people were actually telling us that it's actually warm. And so I was like, warm? What do you guys mean? Like, we're freezing here. But okay, I understand. You guys that live in Russia, you know, are used to the weather. I'm no stranger to the cold. We both grew up. We were raised in New York. We spent most of our lives in New York City. That's where my wife and I met. We have extremely brutal winters as well. Maybe not as cold as Russia, I would imagine, but cold nevertheless. Some winters are worse than others. We do get a lot of snow time to time. But moving down here in Florida, we have not experienced a winter since. So like I said, it's 16 degrees here where we're at now. It's very pleasant. This is like what we live for. This is why people move to Florida. Usually we have a lot of snowbirds that come here for the winter. They like to stay. They like to escape the cold from whatever states they're from. American in Russia, Jonathan, thank you. Mikhail Skachov, summer in St. Petersburg can get up to 32 degrees Celsius. Jesus, that's hot. Так, Ижевск, родина, АК-47 и беспилотников, Lancet. Dixis, хороший сетап. Хороший сетап. Окей, понял. Хороший сетап стрима. Уважаемый, спасибо. Спасибо. Благодарю вас. Здравствуйте. Добро пожаловать всем. Wumi24. I'm studying and some of my neighbors are from south of Russia. Taganrog. They definitely needed time to acclimatize. Yes. Okay, so we have a lot of viewers here from Russia, it seems. I'm really happy to have you guys. This is very interesting. Guys, you're welcome to ask me any type of questions, anything you might want to know about my story, my previous videos. I'll try to answer as best as I can. I'm a little bit nervous. Like I said, I've never done this before. This is kind of, you guys are catching me off guard. I didn't think that anybody would be in this chat. There's 24 of you guys here now. Welcome. I appreciate having you. I'm completely unprepared. I have nothing in store. I had nothing written down or planned for today. This is just me and you guys talking. So it's really nice. It's a pleasure to have everybody here. Okay. So you guys are getting a lot of snow right now in Russia, huh? Jonathan, I've been watching your videos lately. I see that you mentioned, I watched a video that you posted today. You said you were feeling a little bit down or out of it. I think it's probably the weather, bro. Maybe the weather. Although a good change of weather is beneficial too sometimes for the mind and body. I hear you about the gym situation though. Keep up with them calisthenics, man. Calisthenics, that's all the jailhouse workouts. That's all we really need. Those are really, really highly effective. I'm personally, I hate the gym myself. If I work out, I'm going to do my push-ups, my sit-ups, and I'm good. I'm Gucci, as they say. Друзья, здравствуйте. Добро пожаловать всем. Так, кто еще у нас тут? 22 подписчика. 22 зрителей. 22 зрителей. Maybe. I hear you, John. I'm glad you're here, man. It's really a pleasure to have everybody here watching. I have no idea, like I said, what the heck I'm doing. Guys, if you want to ask me some questions, maybe, let's start there. Марат Кази, может быть, есть какие-то вопросы о России? Много есть вопросов о России. Так, вы знаете, there's an interesting thing that I've noticed. Ever since I started posting these videos, I've been getting an extensive amount of support from my Russian viewers, my Russian-speaking audience, not so much from my Western audience. To touch on Jonathan's recent video as well, my vlogs are unhinged. You're too kind. That's the only way to go, brother. Unhinged is the best way. A man without a plan, no plans usually get the best results. Just kind of wing it, man. Так, Иван, всем здравствуйте. American in Russia. See your video, bro. Yes. Андрей Пике, давай вопросы о России. Какие вопросы о России? Я могу сказать, что я очень скучаю о России. Я бы хотел прилететь скоро. Диксис. Неимоверно красивый снег был накануне. Крупные хлопья танцевали в свете фонаря. Очень нравится. Так, друзья, извините, что я не так хорошо говорю и общаюсь по-русски. Я буду стараться, буду пытаться, но я иногда забываю. Буду пытаться, как могу. Если я что-то неправильно говорю, если делаю ошибки, вы можете меня подправить. Это мне полезно, это мне поможет. Wumi24, yes, more snow than in the last couple of years. It wasn't unusual to see almost no snow until New Year. Seeing no sun is difficult, though. It's just ambient lighting. All is cloudy. Так, у меня есть вопрос. Hold on. Guys, did I lose you? Are we still streaming here? I don't know what just happened here. Потеряли вас. Chat, I lost you. What's going on? What can I stop? What can I fix here? I lost my chat. It's okay. I have it on a second screen, I think. Sign into YouTube. Oh, yeah. Okay. Guys, give me 1 second. Pardon me a moment. I lost my chat icon. I can't see the comments. I can see it somewhat. Let me fix that. Let me log in. Так. Друзья, подождите секунду, я вас потерял чат. Так, что мы видим тут? 16 Celsius right now. During the day, I guess if this is the day temperature, it's not too hot at all. My concerns about Florida are gators and mosquitoes. You know, the gators don't really bother you too much, as long as you don't bother them. But we definitely have a lot of alligators here, guys. Quite a few. We actually have a lake nearby. It's called Lake Jessup. It's got the single biggest amount of alligators here in the entire state of Florida. Matter of fact, when Disney parks were all being built up, while it was still all barren land and forests, they took all of the wildlife out. They took the gators that were there and dumped the majority of them into this lake that we have. It's called Lake Jessup. And so there's a bridge built over that lake. And every time we drive by, you see, especially if you drive at night, you see thousands and thousands of eyes just staring up at you from the water. It's actually very cool to see. Guys, just give me 1 moment. Let me log into the chat because I'm losing you here for some reason. Так, секундочку. You know that when the truth is told that you can get what you want or you can just get old. Sorry, guys, I'm singing Billy Joel. My daughter was listening to Billy Joel all morning, and I have this song stuck in my head. Так. Okay, logging in. I just want to make sure I don't lose the connection with you guys. Pardon me, guys. I'm not looking at the chat right now. I'm just trying to log back into my YouTube channel so I can have access to the chat here. Give me 1 moment, guys. Just bear with me, please. Wow, we have 25 viewers now. Lando Carlson, over. Internet went out. Neo-Cubism. Hi, Jessica. Okay. Can you guys still see me? Can you guys hear me? 1 moment. Так, секундочку. Let's see what's going on here. I'm troubleshooting the chat, guys. I don't know what happened to the stream. I think I'm in. Okay, I think I'm back in right now. Guys, can you guys hear me? Can you see me? Please let me know in the comments, in the chat. Let's see what's going on here. Whoa. We don't want that. I'm troubleshooting. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys see me? Okay, I think I got the chat back online. I think. Guys, how's the sound? How's the video? Is there any echoing going on? Anything funky or weird like that? Please let me know in the chat. Can see and hear you fine. Thank goodness. Tips on learning Russian. Lando Carlson, thank you for the question. Tips on learning Russian. I think Jonathan, my friend American in Russia, might be able to give you some good tips on that. Russian is my native tongue. It is my native language. When we moved to America, I remember being around 7 years old and saying to my mom, to my brother, to my relatives, that I'm never going to learn English, that it's impossible, because at that point, you know, I didn't think, you know, I was a little kid. I didn't think I could learn another language. But I remember studying really, really hard all summer for that first year. And by the end of the year, I was actually speaking language much better than most of my peers in class, without an accent. However, I still get told that I have somewhat of an accent these days. I don't know. Do I have an accent, guys? Let's see. Where would you like to live except Russia and USA? You know, guys, I've lived in many different places. When I was in the military, I was stationed over in Italy. And I've been to quite a few places. I've been to France. I've been to Paris. I've been to Spain, Madrid. I've been to Germany. I've been to Austria. And all these places were very beautiful. Lando, yes, my internet went out, but we're back online now. Where would I like to live? Well, I'll tell you what, guys. You know, I've been around Europe during my military years. I served from 2003 to the end of 2005. I was stationed in Europe at that time, specifically in Vicenza, Italy. And I had the opportunity to travel quite a bit. Babe, sounds good. Audio are good. Thank you. American in Russia, you're still rolling. Thank goodness. All right, great to hear, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm going to have to fix up this chat situation for next time. I'm not sure what the heck is going on. Okay, here we go. I don't know what happened. Okay, so I've got to live in Europe for a couple of years back in my earlier days. But I will say, guys, the first time that I arrived in Moscow, Russia, which was the first time I went to go to fly there to meet up with my father after he got in touch with me after 30-something years. I'll tell you this much. I was fearful, you know, because of all this propaganda, all these things I heard about Russia growing up. Because as you guys know, they don't teach the best things in the West here. And I never really thought about visiting. I didn't ever think I would end up there. But when I got there, I will say it was the most amazing, beautiful, grandiose country that I've ever been to. Now, I've only been to Moscow so far, but it blew me away, guys. So for all of my viewers here that live in Moscow, I'm jealous of you guys. It's an amazing, amazing city. I always say you don't know what you have till it's gone. There's a lot of people that are immigrating all over the world right now, especially to the United States. But I will say, by comparison, if we were going to compare New York to Russia, there is no comparison. Your guys' subway system is a work of art in itself. This is how it should be, especially in a first world country like America. I don't know why it's not. Our politicians obviously do not have our best interests. Now, babe, thank you for answering the question. Yes, guys, I served in the U.S. Army. I joined up after 9/11, after the events of September 11, 2001. I was in high school when that happened. I was, I believe, I was in 11th grade. I was a junior in high school. And we actually watched the planes out of our classroom window. We watched them fly into the buildings. So I'm sure there's a lot of conspiracy theorists out there that say that these things didn't happen or it was something else. No, we clearly saw the planes hit the buildings. The dust, the debris and the dust from the buildings actually spread all across the 5 boroughs. Now, New York is not a giant city in comparison to Moscow, but it's big enough. We have 5 boroughs in New York, and the dust, it went to each and every borough. Brooklyn, Bronx, Queens, Staten Island, Manhattan. It was all over the place. And so I remember actually being sent home from school that day, and we were told to run home. After the first plane hit, we were released. And then as I got home, you know, I turned on the news and I'm watching the second plane flying into the towers. And I already, you know, was thinking about joining the military prior to this. But after this event happened, I made up my mind. I went to the recruiting office on my birthday, on my 17th birthday, June 16th, 2001, and I joined the Army. L.A. Thorne, The Martian. I was in from 2010 to 2013, U.S. Army, 19K, M1A1. Okay, right on, man. You were mechanized. Right on. I was airborne infantry, 11 Bravo. Hooah. Jumped out of perfectly good airplanes. Messed up my back and knees, though. And feet. All those PLFs, bro. Parachute landing falls. English is relatively easy. You got NYC accent. Yes, I would agree. I grew up in Bensonhurst, New York. A lot of my surroundings, a lot of the peers around me were Italian. What branch? Army or Corps? U.S. Army, 11 Bravo, airborne infantry. Wow, guys, this chat is pretty busy. I did not expect that. I'm really grateful once again for everybody here who's tuning in right now. L.A. Thorne, thank you. Babe, Jessica Alexander is my wife. I appreciate you being here, even though she's working right now. She's working her night shift at the hospital. But she is actually keeping up with the chat. Babe, I love you. Thank you. Erdem Tabadanov, not Fort Bragg. I was stationed. I did my basic training in AIT in Fort Benning, Georgia. But I was actually stationed at with the 173rd Airborne Brigade in Vicenza, Italy. Our military base was called Caserma Ederle. I believe they've since rebranded or restructured the unit. I believe it's the 173rd Airborne Combat Team now. It was known as the 173rd Airborne Brigade when I served there. I love you too, babe. Mikhail Skachkov. Let's read some of the comments. Unfortunately, Russian will always find a fault and will blow in and out of proportion. I was also amazed at everything when I was there. Even London felt dirty, badly managed after St. Petersburg. Absolutely. I would absolutely agree with that. You know, when I was stationed over in Europe, like I mentioned earlier, guys, I had a lot of opportunity, you know, when weekends came around, if I wasn't on duty of some sort, CQ or whatever stuff they had me doing, I was able to travel a little bit around Europe. And what I loved about it is that I was able to hop on the train and pretty much go anywhere I wanted within a certain distance that, you know, would be approved by my commanders. And so I this way I got to see quite a bit of Europe. And I will say that at the time I was there back in 2004, I was blown away. However, when I got to Moscow, seeing how grand the streets are, obviously, you know, seeing that we have access to YouTube now and social media, so people are just sharing all this information, all these videos, creating all this content. But going to Moscow and experiencing this thing for myself, and seeing just how clean everything was. I went there twice. I went there the first time in 2021 in the spring into summer, and the second time we came back was in the winter. So I got to see Moscow in two different extremes, when it was, you know, spring and when it was winter. And I got to say, guys, I was blown away. The size of the streets, the cleanliness. I was completely shocked by the supermarkets and how they organize their products, their foods. I don't have the words, honestly, guys, to describe how impressed I was by Moscow. You know, growing up, I remember watching videos of the Soviet Union collapsing and that period between, you know, in the 1990s, the perestroika. And, you know, I saw how people were struggling, how people were not able to get products, how people had to stand in lines only to be told after waiting for hours that there was nothing left, that there was nothing available for purchase. And going back to Moscow a couple of years ago, it was nothing at all like what I expected. I mean, I'm no fool. I understand it was not like that in the first place for a very long time. But, you know, I will say honestly, guys, that, you know, out of all the places I've been to and traveled to during my military service years, Moscow, Russia, was the most amazing place I've ever been to. It was the most beautiful place culturally, the people that I met. You know, the one thing I value is relationships. And unfortunately here, I've almost become a little bit of a loner. I've isolated myself because, you know, when we're young, we think that the more friends we have, the better. But as we grow older, we realize, you know, when certain things and certain events happen in our lives, who's really there for you? And I find that found lately that prior to arriving in Russia for the first time, I was already distancing myself away from people because I started to understand that, whenever things were happening in our lives, whenever, I'm the type of person that's willing to give a friend or a person any type of help that they may need. I'll give my shirt off my bag to go out of the way to help somebody out, and I don't expect anything in return. But I've noticed that people in America are, whether it's they're so busy or they're just too caught up in their own bubbles, whatever's going on in their lives, or they're just so busy working, that people here are very, not everybody, and I'm sure it exists, but people here are, как сказать, искусственные люди, not real. People don't want to hear about your problems here. Contrary to when we got to Moscow, we made some amazing friends. I talked to so many people. Я разговаривал с таксистами. Я сделал там куча друзей. И все были готовы со мной сесть и поговорить, и пообщаться, и поделиться. И я такого вообще не испытывал в жизни в Америке, в США. Like I said to my English-speaking viewers that don't speak any Russian, what I'm just translating here. When I arrived in Moscow, I was able to socialize and meet a lot of people and make a lot of friends, and people were willing to sit down and talk to you and listen. And it was just such a breath of fresh air. There were a couple of moments where literally I had a couple of breakdowns there where I was crying. I'm not ashamed to admit this as a man. We're supposed to be strong and tough and like stone, but there were moments where I just felt so much waves of emotion coming over me based on the people that I've met and the culture and just this overall feeling, breathing the fresh air and just feeling like this is mine, and I've never experienced this in America. Growing up here, I've always felt like something was off, like something's not right. And after I visited Russia for the very first time, guys, let me tell you, when I got back to the United States, I fell into a deep state of depression. I had to go back there immediately for the second time. And the second time I came back to the United States, it got worse. All I could do was think about Russia. I mean, it got to the point where all I was doing is dreaming at night. I couldn't even help it. Dreaming about Russia every single day. Just like when do you guys know when something just feels right? When it just feels like the right thing to do. It just feels like this is the way. This is your destiny calling. That's the only way I could describe it. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm absolutely obsessed. For anybody that thought I was just moving there to walk around museums, guys. No, that is not why I'm moving there, but I fell in love deeply with the people, with the culture, with the city itself, and I would love to explore more. I would love to see many other places. Let me read some of the comments before I start babbling and get carried away. Let me catch up to you guys because this chat right now is going crazy. I don't want to feel like I'm ignoring anybody here. Thomas Lee, push likes. Thank you. I agree, guys. Give this video a thumbs up. Lando Calrissian, your life video was the only one that really blew up, got 10K views. Thank you. Yeah, I did not expect that. I remember saying in that video, like, I don't even know who's gonna watch this thing, and here we are a couple of weeks later and it's got 10,000 views, which, guys, I'm so humbled and so grateful for you, for subscribing, for tuning in, for watching these videos, for commenting. The amount of comments, I've been struggling to try to answer and respond to everybody. It's hard to keep up, but I'm doing my best to try to get back to everybody. Jessica, my wife, Moscow traffic was pretty hectic. Yes, I would compare it more to NY traffic. Absolutely. Пробки были безумные. Да, но нам вообще это не помешало. Мы к этому привыкли, мы росли в Нью-Йорке, мы жили там почти всю жизнь. Marat Casey, sometimes Moscow traffic is terrible, but the subway is excellent and fast, and the main roads have free lines for buses. Yes, I will comment that public transportation in Russia, especially in Moscow, I haven't been to other places yet. I definitely plan to in the near future whenever I get there. But what I can speak of is what I know, and Moscow public transportation was just unbelievable. First of all, I was mind blown by the fact that whenever you were in underground subway, that the train would come reliably, almost as if on command, every like 30 seconds or so. If you guys if anybody here has ever lived in New York or knows anything about New York like I do, I grew up there, the MTA, they have a saying, the MTA going your way, and I used to laugh, saying MTA is never going your way because the trains constantly break down. They constantly have maintenance problems going on. They're constantly getting rerouted, redirected. The trains are never reliable. If you count on a New York train to get you to work on time, even if you leave an hour early, you're still going to be late. It's not reliable at all. It's dirty. It's expensive. It's crowded. There's so much violence and crime. There's not enough of a police presence. I think whatever they're doing now, they're trying to step it up, but I know that their resources are allocated right now to other things. I don't want to get too political, but you guys know what I'm talking about if anybody is watching from the USA. The stuff that's going down in New York right now is unbelievable. But in comparison, Russia, Moscow public transportation was incredible. The train stations were literally a work of art. They were massive. I did not get to explore them all. I did not have the time, the chance yet. I plan to do so in the future, the next time I'm back. Okay, yes. J.M. Denali. Is the traffic in Moscow as crazy as Florida traffic? No, I would say not even close. Florida does get pretty busy. It's a very transient state. The one thing about Florida is that there was always a lot of people that are coming here to the state, moving to the state, especially from northern cities like New York, from places like Chicago, California. But there's just as many people that are constantly leaving the state because of Florida politics right now. It's becoming very, very expensive. We moved here in 2017. We were able to take out a mortgage and purchase our home. We weren't planning on buying a house. It's just something that happened that way. The traffic does get pretty bad here in some areas, depending on where you are, but it's not anywhere as bad as it is in Moscow. The funny thing is, my wife will vouch for this. We took Yandex a lot to go drive to different relatives and to go to do different things. And I got to say, the amount of convenience when it came to ordering a taxi or a rideshare service was unbelievable. They came quick. They were super polite. They would come out. We had our daughter with us at the time. They would help. They would actually come out of the car to make sure that our child would get seated properly. This is not something that happens here, guys. Let's read some more comments. Marat Casey. Sometimes Moscow traffic is terrible, but the subway is excellent and fast, and the main roads have free lines of buses. Yes. Erdem Tabdanov. Moscow is giving those empire vibes. Yes, I agree. It was built like a proper capital of the empire. Architecture is imposing, grand, and it's one of the most lit cities I've seen. Erdem, I would agree with you. Moscow is just, it's a whole nother world. I was not expecting that. It's one thing to watch something about, a specific place on the TV or on a YouTube video. It's another thing when you go there in person and you see it with your own eyes. It was just undescribable, astounding. I was completely blown away. To this day, I'll never forget it. I mean, like I told you guys a few minutes ago, I dream. I have dreams about Moscow just about every night. Mikhail Sachkov, the mayonnaise range is insane. Thank you. Wumi24. I think a lot of people in Russia have a glorified view of European countries and US. I agree. Yes. It's almost as if people put the United States on a pedestal. I don't know why, especially these days. Living in the United States for many people is like going through hell. And in order for you to understand that, you have to have lived here. My wife and I always joke around because we feel like growing up here, the things that you see, the things that you're exposed to on a normal day-to-day basis, childhood is entirely different than what it may be from anywhere else in the world. And I will say that growing up here, as an American citizen and spending, your child here, or if you're raising children here, and if you ever plan on, leaving the country and going everywhere else, you become paranoid. Your head's constantly on a swivel because you're almost programmed. You're trained to constantly just be aware of your surroundings, eyes in the back of your head. And I know it's like that in some places around the world, but it's a whole different ordeal. I often frequently say that growing up in America, you get post-traumatic stress disorder, if any of you guys know what that is. Because it changes you. It changes your worldviews. It changes how you act when you're in a foreign country outside of the United States. And I was a victim of that. I was definitely guilty of the same problems. I didn't know if I could trust people. And, it's always good to be a little bit cautious because you never know, I guess, who people are. But I'd like to consider myself a pretty good judge of character. I could tell a lot about a person within the first few minutes of our interaction. And I got to say that I have not met any type of person that gave me a bad impression in Russia. I was very fascinated and blown away by how intelligent the Russian people are, how charismatic they are, how well-read they are. I always thought of myself as being strange because when I was younger, I loved to read. I loved to read so many books. And also that my mother never, let us watch television when we were younger. So I would keep myself entertained by reading countless books. I would read up to like 5 books a week when I was a kid. I read the dictionary. I read different encyclopedias. And I was always made fun of that in school, to the point where whenever the teacher would ask the classroom a question, my hand was always up. And they didn't want to pick on me anymore because they thought of me as like a know-it-all, the brainiac. They wanted to give other people a chance to talk. As you guys could see, I have the gift of gab. Neo-Cubism. I have found living in the West, you have a lot of acquaintances. Yes, but it's really difficult to find true friends. People are very self-centered. I agree with you, Neo-Cubism is very, very true. People are indeed very self-centered here. You know, whenever you meet somebody in the United States, people here traditionally will start considering them a friend as soon as they meet them. I learned about what actual friendship is in Russia. In Russia, they say знакомые, друзья, or знакомые. It's like somebody that you know, or somebody that you've recently met. And then there's друзья, then there's friends. And when somebody calls you a friend in Russia, they are a friend. They will answer the phone for you at any time of the hours of the night, of the day. If you're in trouble, they will come help you as much as they can. They will bail you out. They will pick up the phone and they'll be there for you. They'll be your shoulder to lean on in times of stress or trouble. So I agree with you there on Neo-Cubism. Thank you. Overbe, artificial. Please elaborate. I mentioned that a lot of people in America are by personality artificial. There's a lot of, I'll touch a little bit more of that. So you know how you guys pretty much go anywhere here, you go to the grocery store, and we're all kind of like trained or used to hearing people say, hello, how are you? I laugh because I'm honestly, I'll be honest, I'm tired of hearing that because nobody actually cares. So like, why do we say that? It's like talking about the weather or, you know, why ask? Well, if I tell you I'm having a freaking miserable day and my life is falling apart. Whoa, 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 whoa. The response would be is, I didn't ask you that. That's too much information. Thank you. This guy is strange. That's what I meant. I'm kind of over the how are yous. The one thing I really loved about Russia, or for the time that I spent there, is that nobody asked me, hello, how am I? Unless it was somebody I knew very well and they were genuinely curious about a genuine answer. They wanted to know if I was doing okay. So that was a very big difference as an observation that I noticed. Neo-Cubism, thank you. People are very self-centered in general. Like I said, I'm not painting every American citizen as self-centered, but it is a problem here. Who else do we have here? Hey, Diddy, Dodi, Didiu. Did I say that right? I think the best friends I have found were people in the military, yes, and people in the church. I am a Serbian Orthodox convert. Yes, I will say that some of the strongest bonds that I formed with people were during my time in service. Unfortunately, you know, this was like almost a lifetime ago for me. Some of those bonds didn't carry out through the rest of my years. I got out of the military many years ago, end of 2005. And unfortunately, due to different events and circumstances in my life, I was not able to, we kind of drifted apart, many of us. But yes, that was the only time I really felt at any period of my life that I had a purpose. I had genuine, true friendships and connections. I felt like there was a brotherhood, and that is something that is very true. Danila Vanilla, hello from a Russian from Seattle. Hello, Seattle. Thank you. Welcome. Lando Carlisian. Aha. What show is that from? Is that a Star Wars? We watched all of them, by the way. All the spin-offs as well. Danila Vanilla, state reporting here as well. Жареная свинина. Здравствуйте. Интересное имя. Hello, how are you, Dan? What did you eat today? What did you watch on TV? Marat Casey, bro, did you see Russian film Brat and Brat 2? Конечно. Как бы я мог не смотреть эти фильмы? Это просто культура, это классика. Данил Бодров. Правильно? Бодров, Герой России. Марат Кейзи. Вообще-то я недавно еще пересматривал это кино, фильм, классный фильм, один из моих любимых русских фильмов. L.A. Thorne, The Martian. Yep, me and my gunner are best friends. Well, it would make sense, you know. You guys counted on each other for your lives there, so I totally agree. I totally understand. American in Russia, yes, true. In the military, I had real friends. Jonathan, you served in the military. That's very interesting. What branch? In the military, I had real friends too. I find it's the main thing guys miss when they get out. Yes, when I came home from the military, I felt lost. I came back into a very extremely toxic situation. I went back home to stay with my mother for a little while. It didn't last. I stayed there for a couple of weeks. I don't want to get too personal with here, but some things happened. Some things were said on her side that really were very hurtful and harmful. And I left, and I was actually homeless for a period of a year. Like actually homeless. Like I slept on the trains. I had no direction in my life. I was completely lost and confused, shocked that here I was, you know, I felt like I was a somebody, and I just came back home, and I felt like I made a mistake getting out. I felt like I made a huge mistake leaving, because I ended up, while I was in the military, especially when I was on deployment, I missed home. Home was Brooklyn, New York for me. But what I realized when I got home was that nobody missed me. Nobody cared. Nobody cared what I'd gone through. Nobody was interested. Nobody was curious, and nobody was waiting for me. So after a very short period of time, I realized that I wanted to go back. I actually wanted to go back for a long time. I contemplated, I thought about it. I think that's something as veterans, many of us deal with. There was also a lot of guilt there. A lot of my friends were on deployments after our last deployment, after my deployment. I felt this sense of guilt, as if I was leaving people behind, as if I wasn't there to help them. So yeah, there was that. It's an emotional thing for me, guys, to talk about. Taras Popov. Hello, Dan. Greetings from Moscow. American in Russia. That's crazy. Wow. Yeah. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Жареная свинина. Dan, is very interesting that you would tell me why many Americans walk around the house in shoes. It's dirty after the street. It's terrible. Yes. У нас привычно, что дети могут заходить домой в обувью, уличной обувью, и сразу прыгают на постель. У нас просто так. Никто по-другому так не думает. Я не люблю. When I come home, I put on slippers, like тапочки. I tell my daughter, take off your shoes, leave them in the garage, put on your slippers. We're not going to walk around the house barefoot. We're not going to wear our street shoes in the house. You know, I also have extreme OCD. I'm a neat freak. I'm a very clean person. I like everything in its place. I like everything clean and in order. The floors in our home, you guys can eat off of. It's very clean. I'm obsessive about that stuff. It's not necessarily from the military, even though I didn't mind that part of the military. I was always that way. Greetings from Germany. Germany, welcome. Thank you. Good to have you. I ETS'd in 2018. Erdem Tabdanov. I ETS'd in 2018, and the saddest thing was how many of my friends canceled their subscription to Life. Yes. Yes. I don't know what to say to that, because I 100% understand. My best friend, Timothy Feehan, actually, me and him got home around the same time. He was from Long Island. We were very close. We were in the same company, actually. He was a little bit older than me. He's been through more deployments. I was there in one, Afghanistan, 2005. He served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yes, I don't want to say the wrong thing here on YouTube, because YouTube is no longer like a free speech platform. But unfortunately, his life was cut tragically short. And when I found out, I knew it was devastating. The VA did not help. They did not take care of him. They pumped him up full of pills, and he ended up losing his life a short time later. And he wasn't the only one. I had multiple friends, multiple people I served with that unfortunately made it through the war, made it through the military service, were amazing leaders, were amazing people, physically fit, just people I looked up to, people I would have never imagined in any other type of position, that had very tragic outcomes after their service. It's hard for me to talk about, but yes, this is a big problem here in the United States. The VA needs to get their act together. I personally know this from experience. I've been battling with the VA for many, many years. The VA, for those of you guys that are watching in Russia, is our Veterans Affairs Hospital or system. It's a big, broad network. They're extremely well funded, but they're very poorly run. And a lot of our veterans slip through the cracks, a lot of them, and don't get the help that they need and deserve, that they were promised when they signed up, when they took that oath, when they were sworn in. Andrei Piquet, I watched all of your movies, but the only precaution, please do not overestimate Russia. As a native Russian who lives here and loves his country, but nothing is perfect, sometimes we have some problems. Андрей, я с вами согласен. Я знаю, что Нету идеального места, где мы можем жить, вообще, где человек может жить. Везде есть плюсы, везде есть минусы. I don't believe that I'm overestimating Russia or underestimating it for that fact. I just fell in love with what I saw, what I experienced there. I fell in love with my relatives that I met there. I fell in love with the people that I met there. I fell in love with the culture. I fell in love with the lifestyle. I fell in love with the balance. And also, but really what it comes down to is that in our specific situation with my wife and I, we don't have any family here. We don't have any relatives nearby. And it's, как сказать, выгодно нам жить в Москве. У меня есть доход, поэтому я могу позволить, чтобы моя жена больше не работала. Она хочет быть женой, она хочет быть мамой и участвовать в жизни своего ребенка, а не пахать, как она сейчас пахает, как лошадка, как лошадь. Она просто уставшая, мы пережили много чего, и нам чувствую, что правильно переехать в Россию. Мы просто это знаем внутри. Are you in Russia now? Nelly, no. I am in Orlando, Florida. This is where we currently live, where we currently own our home. Let me catch up on the comments, guys. Chat is coming in fast. We have 39 viewers. I appreciate everybody here. We have 120 views. Guys, do me a favor. If you haven't smashed the like button, please start smashing the like button. I'd like to do these streams more often. But due to the YouTube algorithm, a video or a live stream has to have a lot of likes to get around, to make it, you know, a worthwhile thing. So this helps me. This helps our community grow. The more people watching, the more people sharing, the more people asking questions, communicating, joining the community, the better. If you haven't, please, I'm going to put a shameless plug right now. Yesterday, I created a Telegram chat group. I'm still trying to learn the ins and outs of Telegram. I'm still trying to get the hang of it. But if you guys go into my videos, my previous couple of videos, if you go into the description below the video, I have links there for my Telegram chat, for my group and my chat group. Please hit those links. Please join. I would love to meet you. I would love to talk to you guys more one-on-one, and get to know everybody. My wife is a moderator there. We will both be responding as often as we can. So yes, please join the Telegram group. Okay, let's catch up with the comments. Erdem, Tabdamnov. Once again, house shoes, tапочки is a must. Yes. Совершенно верно, я с вами согласен. L.A. Thorn. I have lost friends too. None were the S word, though. No comment. The VA exists to give jobs to the people that work there. Yes, I agree. You know, ironically, to touch on that, when I got home from the military, from my service, like I mentioned, I was homeless for a period of a year. And I actually went and got a volunteer job at my local VA hospital. I had my own office. I had to come into work with a tie, button-down shirt, and I was actually in personnel management. I was helping other veterans who were transitioning back into civilian life. And I worked there for a period of 6 months, at which point I tried to apply for a paid position, and I was denied, even though they loved me there. But what little did they know, or I never told them, that at the time I was working at the VA facility, I myself was a homeless veteran. Welcome to America, guys. When you were in the army, have you met other Russian-speaking guys or soldiers from other countries? Stanislav Krapivnik, U.S. Army officer who moved back to Russia in 2014. Vitaly, спасибо за вопрос. Thank you for the question. I have met Stanislav. Me and him have talked several times recently. He's a very intelligent guy. He was also a U.S. paratrooper like myself. I believe he was either a captain or a major. I don't want to mess up his rank. He was an officer. I was an enlisted guy. I left the army as a specialist, E4. Very cool guy. Yes, I know, I'm familiar with his story. He has moved back to Russia. He's living there now. He's highly encouraging me to come join him there. Very interesting guy, very intelligent. If Stanislav gets to see this at some point, shout outs to you. I salute you. Yes, he's becoming very popular in Russia. He's a very good speaker. He's being invited to different talk shows in Russia right now to share some of his positions and political stances and views. But during my own personal time in the service, have I met any Russian people? Very few. I have met, off the top of my head, again, this was a very long time ago, I remember meeting at least two. Actually, at the time of joining the military, I joined with a buddy, a friend from high school, by the name of Alex. And actually, Alex was Russian, possibly Ukrainian or Russian. Russian speaking. Me and him, we're very good friends. And I'll tell you guys a quick, interesting story. So me and him, we went into basic training together. And he was so fit. I mean, this guy was constantly at the gym. He was constantly running, constantly working on his physical fitness. I mean, he was a PT stud. Me, on the other hand, I was a scrawny, lanky, tall guy. I was not as physically fit. I tried to do my PT. I tried to do my runs, but I was definitely like not on pace with him. Ironically, when we got to basic training, a couple of months into training, he ended up hurting his hand. And he was not, and due to that injury, he was not able to do the push-ups on the PT test. I think at the time I was like 42, but by our unit standards, we were required to max out the PT test, and he was not able to do it at all. He went from doing like, I don't know, 200 push-ups the guy could do in a period of 2 minutes to not being able to do 42. He ended up getting medically discharged, and I ended up graduating basic training. Me and him lost touch after that for a period of 10 plus years. So during my first visit to Russia, this is where it gets very funny, and this is how what shows you how small the world is. After my first trip to Russia, coming back to the United States, I immediately started considering moving there. And I don't know how many of you guys have Reddit or are familiar with Reddit, but I made a post on Reddit which blew up. It went absolutely viral, and I was asking people, Redditors, for advice about an American, or I guess a Russian American, moving back to Russia. And I wanted to ask specific questions and get people's takes and opinions on it. Ironically, I got a lot of responses, thousands and thousands of messages, thousands and thousands of comments on this post. And one day I get a message in my Reddit private messenger or DM, or what have you. I don't know what you call it. And I think the guy asked me, hey, you know, were you in the military, or did you serve at so-and-so location? And I immediately, that caught me off guard because I thought that was strange. I'm like, how does this guy know who I am? He asked me my full government name, like he knew my full name. And I'm like, wait a minute, there's only one person that could know this information. And all of a sudden, after 10 or 15 years, after getting out of the military, I remember that this guy, exactly who this guy was. And I asked him, I was like, Alex? And he messaged me back, and sure enough, it was him. And, this is where it gets even more interesting. We started communicating, and he revealed to me at the time he was working in Brooklyn. He was living and working in Brooklyn, New York on I think for the LIRR, the Long Island Railroad. And he was getting paid very, very good money. He was making very good money. They had their own apartment that they owned in Brooklyn, New York. I believe it was in Bay Ridge, for all of my New Yorkers who are familiar with this. And, but he described to me that he fell into this deep state of depression because of what was happening around him. Now, mind you, he has no children. He has a girlfriend at the time. They're still together now, but he didn't know what was going on with him. He started gaining weight. He started putting on a lot of weight and falling into this like mind-numbing depression. And he couldn't put a finger on what was causing it. And he confided in me, and if Alex ever watches this, you know, don't kill me for telling this story, but I thought it was very interesting. It just shows you that everything in life happens for a reason. He ended up moving back to Russia, specifically to Yalta, because his parents, who lived in the United States and retired here, ended up moving to Yalta and building a house there. And so when he got in touch with me, he revealed to me that he was currently living in Russia, in this very beautiful area, and we started communicating on WhatsApp and Telegram. And interestingly enough, at the time, him and his girlfriend was a liberal. She was a very left-leaning person, which, you know, I'm fine with. Everybody is entitled to their own opinions and their own views and beliefs, you know, and that's fine with me. But after they were together for a certain amount of time, she started understanding more conservative views, more conservative values, and she saw her boyfriend was basically falling apart and bursting at the seams, and she didn't want to see him go down this road. She wanted to help him. And so I guess they agreed that they would move to Russia, try it out, and ended up going really well for them. Within a very short period of time after moving there, he started gaining his health back. He started gaining his mental sanity, his clarity back. And he was telling me, Eddie, I realized what the problem was. The problem is that I was living in America. I was making all of this money. I had everything going for me. I have an expensive car. I have a beautiful apartment that I own. But you know what? I was miserable. I was unhappy based on everything that was going around me here. I think my daughter's knocking on the door. Eleanor, if she comes in and says hello, don't mind. We have a 6-year-old daughter. Her name is Eleanor. She might stop by and say hi. Okay, now, where was I? Anyway, guys, I wanted to share this story with you. I thought it was interesting. Судьба, может быть, не знаю, but we're in touch now. Him and his girlfriend are currently living in Thailand. They wanted to stay there for a little while until I think things cooled down. But they're doing very well right now. They plan to return to Russia in a short period of time. All right, let's catch up with the chat. I don't want to feel like I'm ignoring you guys. I know I get a little bit carried away. We have 34 viewers now. Guys, please smash the like button. Leave a like on the video. It helps me out a lot. It feeds the algorithm. It gets these videos out there. Woomy24. Nelly, I'm not going to answer that question. YouTube is not a free speech platform. What do you think about the SVO? We Russians are really concerned about the possibility of... Okay, I'm sorry. I cannot answer that question on this platform. Maybe if I was on Rumble, I'd probably could be able to go into it on detail. I'm going to say this very shortly. Russia is not losing. There's no chance. I will say that any war is a very terrible thing. It's a tragic thing, especially as somebody that's gone through one. A lot of innocent people pay the ultimate price. But at the same time, this is a much bigger thing than what's going on between two countries. I don't want to get too much into detail, but I will say that this is a proxy situation in between very specific countries. So this, Russia's not at fault here. I understand the conflict very well. I might try to speak on it or figure out a way to speak about it at some point in the future. Yes, whoever's calling me Dan, America in Russia, thank you. My name is Edward, Edward, Eddie. You guys can call me Edward, Eddie, whatever's comfortable for you. Jonathan, thank you. Dan is the other guy. Dan is my friend Wild Siberia, yes. He has a very popular YouTube channel. He's a sweet guy, amazing guy, very kind person. He actually helped. Dan, if you're watching this, I want to say that I spoke to you last night, but to all my viewers watching, Dan actually gave me a voice here on this platform. He gave me a shout out on his Telegram channel, which got a lot of eyes on my channel. And so I'm forever indebted to him. I really appreciate him. Me and him have a lot in common. We both served in the military, him in the Marines, me in the U.S. Army, both veterans, both around the same age, both planning on, well, he's living in Russia. He's currently in California now trying to renew his documents so he can get back. But yes, very, very interesting guy. I consider him a very good friend. We're very close. If anybody is in Dan's Telegram chat, please invite him to our chat. I'd love to have him join. I don't know if he's here. Let me get into the chat and see if he would be able to join us, actually. I'll ask him myself. Dan. I have to give him a link to the chat. Guys, bear with me, please. This is my first time doing this. This is going very well, I think. I'm going to send him a link to the chat. Hopefully he joins if he gets to see it, if he happens to be online. Okay, Dan, please join our live stream if you can. We would love to have you. We would love to have you. To have you here. Live now. Just speaking about Dan, actually. Wild Siberia chat. Okay, cool. I'm going to try to shoot him this message again to his personal account. Maybe it'll be a better chance for him to see it that way. Hopefully he can join us. Great guy. Honorable dude. One of the nicest guys I've ever met. Dan, it'd be a pleasure to have you here. Jonathan, once again, thank you for that correction. Yes, guys, for anybody new here, welcome. My name is Edward. I know somebody was calling me Dan before. That's okay. Dan is actually the other guy from Wild Siberia channel. Really cool dude. Dan, if you get a chance to watch this, salute to you, man. Shout outs. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to join this platform and to get a little bit more eyes on my channel. It means a lot. Жареная свинина. Sorry, Edward, why I said Dan, what the fuck? It's okay, man. Oh, we got our first bleep. I apologize, guys. I don't want to get myself banned on YouTube. I just started, so I got to be careful. I'm very animated, if you guys haven't noticed. I don't want to get too wild here. We got to try to keep this clean. All right, Neo Cubism. Both of you are very wholesome guys. Thank you, Neo. I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot to us. It means a lot to me. I don't know. I have my moments. My wife, I'm a lucky guy, I'll say it that way, because my wife is the opposite of me. She's a very sweet, caring, quiet, reserved person, and I'm the loudmouth. I like to meet everyone, talk to everyone, so I don't know. Maybe, I guess, this works for this whole YouTube situation. What do you guys think? I don't know, but thank you. I appreciate that compliment. L.A. Thorn the Martian. Excuse me. What are your thoughts on a place like Novinky, Russia? I don't have any thoughts. I haven't been there. I couldn't point to it on a map. I don't know where it is. I would love to learn more about it. Vitaly Katsur, former police officer from Oakland, California. Welcome. Okay, LAPD. Is that LAPD? Mikhail Lapidus, who is living now in Krasnodar, said, yes, I've heard of him. Okay. Yes, I think I've watched a couple of videos with him on YouTube. Said he will try to read a book about his police service. He will try to read a book about his police service. Erdem Tabdanov. Oh, Dan, love this channel. Yes. Shout outs to Wild Siberia once again. Dan, if you happen to catch this live, we would love to have you join. Shout outs to Dan and his channel Wild Siberia. I hope if you guys aren't subscribed or aren't familiar with his channel yet, but I'm sure by now most of you are. Dan is doing big things. He can't wait to get back to Russia. I think he's planning on going to Moscow. So whenever we do end up there, I do plan to link up with him, and we do plan to produce some content together. We've discussed it. We've talked about it. I have to keep my lips tight about it. I don't want to reveal too much, but we have some plans together, and we would love to bring you guys some interesting stuff. Okay, I feel like this chat is blowing up. We have 39 viewers now. We're at 145 views. We have 38 likes. Guys, why are there so little likes here? Let's share this video. Let's smash that like button. Come on, guys. Chat, we could do better. I promised that I would sing to you if we could get 100 likes. I don't think that's asking for a lot. I don't want to beg, but I think we can do better here, right? Hit the like button, guys, if you're watching, please. It helps out the algorithm. It helps me, and I'd like to do more of these things, so hit that thumbs up down below. Okay, my wife, Jessica Alexander. Yes, when we get back to Russia, I would love to travel on the Trans-Siberian Express, to travel through different regions to explore culture and history of different areas. Yes, so my wife and I recently watched a YouTube video, and it documented an entire train ride on the Trans-Siberian Express in all this luxury and opulence. And I know a lot of people can't afford these types of trips. Not a lot of Russians have done them, but yes, it was quite an interesting video, from what I understanding, it's a very interesting and wonderful way to see Russia, excuse me, guys, in its entirety. So I would love to do that one day with my wife. I would love to experience that. I couldn't imagine anything more interesting or more fun. Okay, let me catch up with the chat once again. Sergey Lapin, did you visit other places in Russia except for Moscow? No. Sergey, like I mentioned, I've only been to Russia twice. Both times were to visit family. The first time I flew there was to meet my dad for the first time after 32 years of my life. You know, prior to that, I didn't know anything about him. You know, I wasn't able... If you have any questions about that, please watch my first video about the reasons why I moved to, traveled to Russia and how it changed my life. But briefly, I flew to Russia the first time to essentially reunite and reconnect with my father, to meet him for the first time. And I met all of these long-lost relatives that I didn't even know existed. Aunts, uncles, cousins, you name it, was there. Family I had no idea was even in the picture. And so immediately after my first trip there, which is a very short trip, my first trip, I was there for 1 month. And it flew by very quickly, and I just couldn't wait to get back. I came back to America. Again, all of this is mentioned in my first video. Please check out my video titled how my first trip to Russia changed my American life. It's one of the first videos I published here on my channel about a month back, where I talk about all this stuff. But just to sum it up really quick, came back to America. and I wanted to make sure that my wife and my daughter got the opportunity to meet my family in Russia, and I wanted my family in Russia to get to know them. Long story short, and I'm going to make another video about this, unfortunately, the situation with my father did not work out. The relationship was too strained, too damaged, too far gone, based on events, traumas and traumatic things. You know, we tried to make it work, but ultimately we just could not find the mutual ground. I tried to listen, understand him, and I respect him very much so, but it was becoming very toxic, very quickly. And I tried to hang on desperately to know the man more, to learn as much as I can. But, you know, he's by all Russian definition, he's a very successful man who's built quite a life for himself in Moscow. But the relationship was so strained that we could not really, you know, work it out. I really wanted to. We kept in touch for 2 years, and recently we just couldn't continue. I couldn't continue doing it. There was a lot of very graphic, very violent, very negative things that were essentially a lot of pain, that you would think that we would bond over that, but it didn't work like that, guys. So it didn't work out. So unfortunately, you know, I lost my dad. That's really all I could say about that. You know, I'm glad that I met him. It's through him reaching out at a ripe old age of 72, I was able to reconnect with Russia. Because if it wasn't for that, I don't know if I would have ever gone there. It was never a thought that I had, but I'm very grateful that because of him reaching out, even if it was too late, that I had the opportunity to travel to Russia, to get to meet family and relatives there, and to get to know the country, to get to know Moscow. And I got my Russian passport now, so I regained my Russian citizenship. Okay, guys, I don't want to get too emotional here. Sergey, you did the Trans-Siberian Express, really? That's very interesting. Tell us about it a bit more. American in Russia. Jonathan, you'll love the train because you can sleep on it. Thank you. Super comfortable. You know what's funny? It's actually true. You're 100% right. I fall asleep on trains because the rocking motion. And when we were in Moscow, for the second time with my family, we took Yandex quite often. It was the winter time. We were bundled up. We were traveling with my wife and daughter. It was just the most convenient means of transportation for us at that time. I wish I would have taken the metro more, but we did take Yandex a lot. And every single time I got into those cabs, I fell asleep, guys. Every single time. My wife will vouch for me in the chat. Within 5 minutes, both myself and my, at the time, 4 turning 5-year-old daughter would just fall asleep, knocked out within 5 minutes. I don't know if it had something to do with the winter weather or what. Yeah, the rocking motion, perhaps. Super comfortable. And usually the funny thing is I never fall asleep when somebody else is behind the wheel. Like, I'm usually very aware. I'm what they call a backseat driver. I'm the driver in my family. I don't mind the responsibility. I'm a safe driver. I don't know. I have good reflexes. I'm like a panther. Marat Kazi. Jessica, do you know, asking my wife, Jessica, do you know that Russia has Buddhist and Muslim regions? Of course. Sergey Lapin, I did it by rail. That was a blast. Vitaly Katsur, sorry. Michael Lapidus will write a book about this police service. Michael Lapidus will write a book about his police service. You can try to write a book about your army service. If it's a story, it's a story within a story. My army service was brief. However, it felt like a lifetime at that time. But my story is much more big, much more elaborate than just my time in the service, which was a very crucial, critical, impactful moment in my life. It definitely helped shape me and turn me into who I am today. But my story doesn't begin there. My story began a long time before that. Oddly enough, and maybe you guys might get a laugh out of some of this, but by the time I got to the military, and you know how they show you these, like, you know, basic training or boot camp videos if you're in the Marines of all these drill sergeants or drill instructors yelling and getting up all your face and putting you down. First of all, I got to say that today's military is very different. It's changed. a lot. It's not the same. They don't do those types of things anymore, you know. But when I was there, you know, just like the Vietnam guys would tell you, or the Desert Storm guys, it was a lot more aggressive. It was a lot more rough. It was a lot more break you down to build you up. But oddly enough, that by the time I was in the service, I was, and drill instructors were yelling and cursing at me and calling me a worthless piece of ass and whatever it was, you know. Keep in mind, guys, the nature of the work, infantry, it's a tough job. You know, you're expected to perform. Your buddy's life depends on it. We depended on each other. You know, we were there for each other. And so this is a different type of position. But whenever these drill sergeants or commanding officers would ever get in my face, believe it or not, you know, from my crazy childhood that I had with my mother, she was extremely manipulative, extremely abusive, physically, mentally. So all the stuff that I heard in the military that was actually designed to make me stronger, to make me better, I've already went through with my own mother, who was extremely mentally ill and extremely unstable. Except for trying to build me up, it was just the opposite. So actually, you know, getting through basic training was a cakewalk for me because that was not an issue. Matter of fact, I would frequently get punished and smoked and dropped to the ground to do push-ups because whenever somebody was getting in my face to yell at me, I couldn't help it, but I would smile or I would laugh. I would burst out laughing. And so I was I was the odd one out of the bunch. The drill sergeants loved me. I'll just say that. I got smoked a lot. They made me drop, and I had to do a lot of push-ups. Let's just say that. Жареная свинина. Does your wife work in the medical field? Yes, she's a nurse. My wife is a registered nurse. She works at our local hospital here in Orlando, Florida. She works night shifts. So she works all night, 3 nights a week. She works long hours. She is extremely overworked and extremely underpaid, but she is one of our heroes. She sacrifices herself to help others. So my wife is really good at her job. She's an amazing nurse. So shout outs to you there, babe. She's at work right now. She's typing in the chat as she's working. Hopefully her boss doesn't see her doing it. Sergey Lapin saying, I lost my dad is a heavy thing to say. He is not lost until you mean it. Sergey, that's essentially the situation. You know, that's essentially the situation. I can't, you know, I wish I could share super, super private things. I just don't feel like right now would be the best time to do that. But, you know, the bottom line is this, guys. I never had a real mother. I never had a real father. My parents only had myself and my brother, not for us. We were essentially used as pawns and as bargaining chips to two people who were extremely mentally ill, extremely selfish, extremely narcissistic, and extremely conniving and manipulative. That's just the truth of the matter, guys. Not every family is picture perfect. Just because you have a mother or a father doesn't always make them, you know, there are such things as sperm donors. Some people shouldn't have kids. Some people have kids when they shouldn't. Unfortunately, you know, I when I tell you guys that I mean it from my heart, this was unfortunately the case for myself and my brother. We endured things that no child should have to endure. I'll just say this briefly. My mother tried to kill me and throw me out of a window when I was approximately 5 years old. I was stabbed by her. So you guys could imagine the rest. You know, I felt like I had to say this to kind of paint the picture for you guys a little bit because it's something that I went through. I'm not ashamed to say it. It's what happened. When I got home from Afghanistan, my mother told me that she wishes I would have died there. Right? So I'm sure that one's going to be very interesting for you guys to hear right now. But moving on, I don't want to stay stuck on this subject right now too long. I had a very traumatic and abusive childhood. I've since been able to deal with it, but it cost me a lot of years. It's cost me a lot of mental health. I've been through the psychiatrist. I've been through the psychologist. I've been through the therapists. And ultimately, I found that talking to somebody that is being paid to listen to me is not something that's super beneficial for me. The most benefit I ever had was a friend to sit down and offer an ear to listen, or somebody that would share an experience of their own that, you know, really shaped who they are as a person, or something traumatic that somebody's been through. These are the things that I can understand. So yes, the relationship with my father, guys, did not work out. You know, I wish it could have. I was very excited to meet the man. I saw a lot of myself in him. He saw a lot of himself in me. But I think when, I guess you could say when two rocks bump heads, sometimes there could be sparks. And unfortunately, the sparks that came out of our relationship, out of our time getting to know each other, were very toxic, were very harmful. And being that I've survived all of this stuff already, I couldn't do it again. I'm a father myself now. I need to be mentally strong, mentally fit, physically fit for my family, for my wife, for my daughter. And so I just couldn't allow that toxic behavior back into my life. I tried for 2 years. So that's what I have to say about that, guys. So Sergey, thank you. I appreciate the comment. Soap Bullet, I'm only sleeping with background noise. Me too. I have literally in our bedroom, we have 3 fans spinning. We have 2 ceiling fans. We have a fan by the side of the bed, and we have the air conditioner pumping. I can't sleep any other way. L.A. Thorn Martian. Oh, Edward, it's okay, man. The phrase time heals all wounds. It will mend the damage. Perhaps it's through him that your family connects to you, to your ancestry, and that might be the way he makes amends. I agree with you. I won't necessarily agree that time heals all wounds. It certainly hasn't helped any of mine, but I am grateful to my father for choosing to reach out. Even if he waited, till he was 72 years old, I'm extremely grateful for the time that I got to know him. Because it really, like I said earlier in the video, guys, in the stream, that if it wasn't for him, I would have never found my way to Russia. I don't think I would have ever came to Russia if my father wasn't the catalyst for that. So yes, I agree. And the older I get, the more I understand, guys, that everything in life happens for a reason. Absolutely, everything in life happens for a reason. The older I get, the more I'm just absolutely convinced. I'm not a religious person per se. I believe that there's, a greater good. I believe that energy never dies. But I also believe in karma. I believe in what goes around comes around. I believe in being a good person, being a good human being. We've all made our mistakes. I certainly have my share of mine. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, guys. I don't blame anybody for the things that have happened in my life, other than the things that, that somebody deserved to have blame on. But everything that after my childhood was over, everything after that was on me. I made those decisions, whether I was influenced, whether I was not in the right state of mind due to the way I was brought up. Doesn't matter. I'm 38 years old now. I take full accountability of everything I've ever done, good and bad. And I've made plenty of mistakes. I'm always trying to not necessarily just make amends, but to be a good person. I strive to be a good person. I believe in helping people. I believe in being genuine. I believe in being sincere and open. Let me get back to these comments, guys. I really have to read them because I think you guys are going to start thinking I'm ignoring you. I'm talking a lot. Okay. Okay, Sergey, my wife, I believe, responded to you. Let me get, this chat is like, I don't know where you guys are, like, it's just going. I'm really happy to see that, guys. Thank you. Neocubism, Jess and Ed, are you planning to visit Russia again before the move? What's the situation for Jess and getting a visa? Will she have to keep going back to US to reapply? So, my wife currently has a visa. It's set to expire, I think, next year, sometime in the middle of next year. So she'll have to renew it. I myself, during my last trip, was able to obtain an internal Russian passport, as well as the non-biometric passport, the one that Russians use to travel into the country. So I have 2 Russian passports. I have one that I use to travel into the country now, and the one that they use internally. My wife is on a visa. The plan is that once we do move there, once we live on the territory of the Russian Federation, I believe there have been some new laws that have been recently updated that state, and don't quote me on this, guys, this is something that, I kind of loosely am aware of. But if you are married to a Russian citizen who is residing on the on the territory of the Russian Federation, I think there's a fast track to Russian citizenship. Blah. So I think my wife might possibly, maybe, hopefully be eligible to have to receive Russian citizenship, and we would like to hope to avoid her having to leave every 6 months to leave the country, because that would be required by law on a visa. I know my friend Dan, my friend Jonathan here, he's on a visa there, and I'm sure that's something they'll have to. Dan is dealing with it now, and Jonathan will probably have to deal with it too. But it's just it's part of the rules, guys. Rules are rules. It is what it is. If you want to live there, you got to abide by the rules, just like anywhere else. So thank you for that question, Neo. Are we planning to visit Russia again before the move? I hope so. It's very expensive to get there from the United States, especially now that there's no direct flights. You have to fly either through Turkey, through Serbia. As far as I'm aware, they might be, I think, a path. I'm not sure, through Dubai. But yeah, it's 3 people flying there. You know, myself, my wife, our daughter, round trip. It gets very expensive very quickly. So we would we would have to visit there, I would assume, before we move there. But yeah, we would love to visit Russia again soon. I mean, I can't stop thinking about it. Guys, like I mentioned earlier in the stream, I have dreams every night about it's I don't know what it is. I mean, perhaps I did it to myself ever since I got back. Just about every day I'm learning as much as I can about Russian culture, Russian history, the Soviet Union, how things were back in the day, what happened during the 90s, during the perestroika, how people lived, what people endured. You know, the one thing about Russians that I can say is Russian people endure. They know how to endure. They're used to hardships in their lives. And perhaps maybe that's what makes me Russian, because you can't change blood. You can't change DNA. I was born there. And even though I did not grow up in Russia, sadly, I did not get to witness the culture, the beauty of the place, the people. I've always considered myself to be different here. I didn't fit in, like I didn't belong. I always thought that something was off, like something wasn't right. And maybe now I know why. When I got to Russia, I understood. It's because I'm a Russian. It's because I'm Russian. It's because I have Russian blood flowing through my Russian veins. Okay. My wife said yes. We used to go to the Russian banya when we lived in New York, and she loved it. I did as well, but did not get a chance to go in Russia. No, babe, that's not true. We did get to go to you guys got to go to a banya in Shaman's house, remember? One of my relatives has a friend who had a beautiful home, and they had like a spa in their house. And so the women, while the men drank, sat around and told stories and stuff and got to know each other. The women went into their own little banya, and it was snowing around that time. So they came out of the banya in their like bathing suits and towels wrapped around them and cooled themselves off with the snow. Everybody just had an amazing time. And then they went back in there to warm up. And me and my friend continued to chat and drink and talk and laugh. Жареная свинина. Спасибо, Veritas. Thumbs up. Thank you. Guys, please keep hitting those thumbs up. It helps me out a lot. We have 40 of you guys here in the chat room. Not bad for our first live. I'm grateful for each and every one of you here. I know it's, what time is it in Russia right now? Depending on where you are. I know in the Moscow region, it is now, wow, guys, it's almost 4 in the morning. So I don't know how you guys are not asleep yet. I'm sure many of you have to go to work in the morning. I should probably start thinking about ending this soon. We'll read a couple of more comments from the chat. Так. I've been hearing a lot of good things. Woomy24, I've been hearing a lot of good things about home-brewn alcohol, but you need to know people who make it. Как на самогон. Okay. I'm familiar. Понимаю. Понятно. Илья Nikiti. Yes, you can go through Serbia, but it's very expensive. 2 flights per day with Air Serbia. Yes, flights are extremely limited. Thank you, Ilya. Sergey Lapin. And they are very expensive, especially, you know, with the situation politically that's going on in the United States, and these ridiculous sanctions that are really only shooting us U.S. citizens in the foot here. Sergey, again, моя названная бабушка, которая переехала в Штаты и живет в Нью-Джерси, ездила к нам через Финку в этом году. By Финку, do you mean Finland? Would you guys mean... I know that you can go through... what's the name of the place? Tallinn. I know you can go through Tallinn. I know you could take a bus. I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. Maybe if I was younger, without a child, without a family in tow, I'll be down for that. These days, I'd much rather fly. Besides, I really love Aeroflot Airlines, even though from what I understand, they have some questionable, but you know, compared to U.S. airlines or any airlines across the U.S., I will say Aeroflot has been the most wonderful airline that I've flown on. The quality of service, the food was better, much better by a big measure, better than any flight that I've ever been here intercontinentally in the United States. Amazing airplane, big airplane. Got us there safe. What can I say? Thank you to Aeroflot. Shout outs. Неокуб is in Сергей Лапин. Закрыли же границу теперь недавно. Теперь через Турцию. Блин. Wild Siberia is here. Where is he? Dan, where are you? There you go. Well, what's up, my man? This is our first live. Bro, I'm so happy to have you. We were just talking about you a few minutes back, man. Dude, thank you for joining. Like, Dan, thank you for joining. Means a lot to me. Really happy to have you here. I think the chat will be grateful as well. Guys, for anybody watching now, we have 37 viewers. We have 170 likes on the stream. Whoa. My friend Dan just joined the chat. He's like a celebrity of YouTube right now, but a really humble guy, a really amazing dude, very great friend that's treated me amazingly from the start. You know, I remember that my first time reaching out to him, I didn't think he would I didn't think he would answer, but he responded right away. And before we know it, we were both on a phone call together, and we discovered how much we have in common with each other. So Dan, it's an honor to have you here in my chat. Thank you for joining. You gave me the platform here, so my sincerest gratitude to you, brother. Thank you. Sergey Lapin, Tallinn, это другое, это Estonia. Да, Tallinn, it's a different way of getting there. Vitaly Katsur, the cheapest way to fly to Gdansk is in Poland and take a bus to Kaliningrad, 3 hours by bus, and then domestic flight to Moscow, way cheaper, but it takes a little more time. Yes, I've done a little bit of research. There are people who like to save money. I like to save money. However, with a family in tow, and especially when it comes to moving there at some point, yeah, I think it's just going to be the best option for us to fly there direct. You know, we'll see what happens. You know, we still have a ways to go before we can do that, guys. It's the goal. It's the dream. It's what we're working on over the course of the past 6 months. I will share this with you guys. We've been getting things ready. We own a home here in Florida, or by Russian standards, we pay a mortgage like most Americans. We pay a mortgage for our home. But yeah, you could say the bank owns it, but we own it for now. We're renting it from the bank. But we've been trying to prepare our house, do like little renovations here and there, fix things up. We've been selling a lot of our stuff, a lot of things that we no longer need, that no longer bring us joy, that no longer make us happy, just unnecessary stuff to try to lighten the load, kind of do a little bit of soul cleansing and trying to follow a little bit of a minimalistic lifestyle. So we've been essentially decluttering our lives and trying to prepare for this. I'm not the type of person that likes to leave things behind for last minute. I like to do everything well in advance. It's better to show up early than late. That's my mentality on that. Dan, thank you. Wild Siberia, thanks a lot for the support. I'll be here for a little while. Glad to have you, brother. Thank you so much, man. Salute back to you. Let's see who else. I don't want to miss any of your comments, guys. Thank you guys for the likes. You guys are doing a fantastic job hitting the like button. Please, if you just joined the chat, welcome. Please go ahead and smash that like button, guys. Share this video across your social platforms. Tell a friend to tell a friend. The more the merrier. I think based on the time frame here now between the U.S. and Moscow, I know it's almost 4 in the morning for you guys there. So I don't know how you guys are still awake, but I really appreciate you watching, taking the time out of your own busy days to watch me speak. I didn't expect this chat to go so well. I appreciate everybody in the comments who's communicating. I want to see this community grow, guys. This is the main thing for me. You know, I didn't start this YouTube channel to make money. I didn't start this YouTube channel to flaunt something or to paint myself as somebody that I'm not. I started this channel straight up because I have a lot of life experience for a guy at 38 years old, a guy my age. And I've been told for many years now that I should tell my story. I should find a way to tell my story. And luckily, we live in this time and age where social media is a thing. It's a tool at our disposal right now. And I will share with you that when I stumbled across Wild Siberia's channel, here it is, a guy who was basically doing exactly what I was planning on doing when I first made my trip to Russia. Like literally my wife and I sat down, I'm like, babe, we need to start a YouTube channel. This is, Dan, this is before I saw your channel. And when I stumbled on his channel and heard his story, I mean, that was it. That was the final push. I'm like, dude, like this guy is doing exactly what it is that I want to be doing. And so he encouraged me and ultimately was the final catalyst. He inspired me to get out of my comfort zone, make this YouTube channel. I've had a YouTube channel in the past, you know, due to the fact that YouTube is no longer a free speech platform. I wasn't careful of what I said and how I talked back then years ago. And, you know, it didn't work out. Let's just say that. I don't want to say too much and get myself into any trouble here. But, you know, watching Dan and him telling his story, and, you know, it was really the final push that I needed to go ahead and start doing my own channel and telling mine. And I think that my story may be very interesting to you guys and really may help some people, because ever since I started this channel, ever since I started posting videos, I've had at least 20 or 30 people already reach out to me and tell me that they've went through similar circumstances. I went through similar abusive childhoods, you know, and shared a lot of personal things with me. And, you know, I discovered, and I always knew, I'm not naive. I always knew that my experience is not, I'm not entirely isolated in my experience, but, you know, for some reason, for some time, I felt all alone. And to hear these stories from you guys and to hear these stories from people and people opening up and sharing, it was very moving to me. It was very touching. It was very heartfelt. And it gave me, it's almost like it builds me more up to do this further, to think of new things, to interact with you guys, to tell my story, to have you guys share yours. And I love it. You know, this is exactly what I'm here to do. You know, I don't know what the future holds for this channel. I hope it goes well, but my plan is just to take it day by day, moment by moment, video by video, to try to bring you guys the best content that I can. I'm not trying to replicate anything or anyone. I just want to, you know, show the world as I see it through my eyes to you guys. So that would be my gift, my contribution here to you. So everybody that's here in the chat now, to all of my new subscribers, I sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank each and every single one of you for joining. We have 31 current viewers. We have 176 views. Whoa, I mistake the likes. We have 40 guys. How do we have 47 likes? How long has the stream been going now? It's been going for a while, almost an hour at least, right? Guys, let's get those likes up. I know there's not many of you here. I know that every single one in the chat has hit the like button. So I really appreciate that support. Let's see, what else? I want to read some comments before we end this in a little while, shortly. Ed, do you drink vodka when you were in Russia? On several occasions. Keep in mind, жареная свинина. Мы приехали в Россию, мы прибыли туда в конце года, на Новый год. Конечно, мы выпили с друзьями, с родственниками. Ну да, я чуть-чуть шатался там. But I had a good time. Yes, I had a couple of shots of vodka in Russia. I'm not usually a drinker, even though, you know, I'm Russian. I think some people have this stereotype that all Russians, you know, drink and that they like to hang out with bears. I've seen those videos going around. I don't know how true that is, but definitely not all. Definitely not this Russian. But yes, my wife and I had a few drinks while we were there with family and friends. It was an amazing time. We got to watch the fireworks, to see how Russians bring in and celebrate New Year, which is a very big deal in Russia. Not as much of a big deal here. Here we have Christmas. We just finished Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving for us was yesterday. Christmas is going to be our next hurdle, and then we have New Year's. But people are more focused on Christmas for sure in the United States. Wild Siberia, Sludanka, capital of Russian. Hilarious. Who said that? Maybe because you're there, Dan. Maybe it might be the new one. I don't know. Wasn't St. Petersburg the capital of Russia at one time or another? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, as far as I know, St. Petersburg was the capital of Russia. I think of Soviet Union a long time ago. Жареная свинина. Спасибо. I think you should visit St. Petersburg, Rostov-on-Don, Sochi, Dagestan, and Siberia. It's a must. And then go to the Far East. I agree. I was thinking about visiting. I know that on my next time that we have the opportunity to get to Moscow, I plan I absolutely, definitely plan to visit St. Petersburg for sure. Not only that, I have friends there already. We have Jonathan, who's in the chat, American in Russia. I'd love to meet up with him and get to know him a little bit better. It would be nice if he'd be willing to do it. I also, Dan, I hope you don't mind if I say this. I hope to meet up with him as well. We've talked about it a bit, so I don't want to say too much. It's in the works, guys. It's in the works. We definitely want to get together. I'd like to meet as many people as possible. The whole point of this channel, guys, is to grow this community. You know, that's exactly what Dan is doing. He's doing this for you guys. He wants to show you. He wants to show you the reality. He wants to blow past all these elusive stereotypes that are out there about Russia and how, you know, some people paint it in a negative light, and it's not that way. Now, every country has problems, everywhere, including here in the United States. And the United States, guys, has a lot of problems, but I don't believe in biting the hand that feeds me. I grew up in this country. This is not a bad country. It's just that politics have really done some damage here. And unfortunately, the citizens, the local population is paying the price for that. You know, that's something that I guess time will tell what will be, but I personally, for myself, don't feel like I have a future here, and more so, I don't feel that my daughter has a future here. But, you know, that's my personal opinion, my personal view. I love America. I love this country. I grew up here. I served in the military. I fought for this country. And in my times of need, when I came home, and many experiences of my friends and battle buddies and people I served with they had the same experience. They didn't get help when they needed it. And unfortunately, from what I know, for many of them, they paid the ultimate price, not just during wartime, but especially coming home. And there's a lot of things here that really need to be improved. If Dan is still watching, he will understand exactly what I'm talking about. So thank you, Dan. Neo-Cubism. Vodka is vile by itself, but with good food and good friends, not so bad. I totally agree. Salute, на здоровье. Согласен. Я согласен с вами. Vitaly Katsur. Do not forget to mention your Telegram channel as the alternative platform. Yes, guys. Vitaly, thank you. Good point. I mentioned it briefly earlier in the chat. I'll mention it again. Guys, yesterday I created a Telegram channel, and I created a separate group chat for that. Now, I don't know how to use Telegram very well. I'm new to this thing. I'm still trying to learn it and figure out the ins and outs, but I was able to create the groups. If you guys want the link to the Telegram, please hit any one of my most recent videos. Go below the video in the description section, in the about section of the video, and there's links there. There's links to my Instagram. There's links to my Telegram. One of those links is my chat group, and the other one is for the main group. So I would encourage you guys to please, if you haven't already, if you're here watching now, if you have the chance, I know it's late wherever you guys are watching for most of you, but please join those groups, because I would really sincerely like to have this discussion continue. I would like to keep our community growing. I would love to interact with everybody. My wife is a moderator and admin there, so she's also participating, engaging with everyone. We would love to have you. We welcome you guys to join the channel, so please do that. Please join the channel. Thank you, Vitaly, once again. I agree. That's why I created it. You know, I want to see this community growing. Thank you guys for the thumbs up. Nelly, welcome to Kola Peninsula to ski and watch polar lights. Oh, that sounds awesome. Veritas, be positive, friends. Absolutely. You know, we don't want any hate. We don't want any negativity. This is not what we're here for. We're here to learn. We're here to support each other. We're here to grow. Neo-Cubism. I hope Ed and Dan will show the way to many Westerners, and we will see more and more people who share the same values move to Russia. Guys, look, I'll tell you this much. Americans and Russians are not all that different, especially more conservative Americans. We have a lot more in common than some people would actually imagine, more than some people think. You know, I myself, as a Russian citizen, as somebody that was born in Russia, never felt like I experienced any type of negativity to myself for being Russian personally. Rather, more curiosity. Anybody that I ever told that I was Russian, you know, didn't believe me. And when I started speaking it, you know, in my broken Russian, doing the best I can, they're like, wow, they're very impressed. I worked as a barber. I cut men's hair for many years. And when I told people that I was originally born in Russia, they were always very impressed. They always wanted to learn more. They were very shocked. Like, Russia? Really? And, you know, they would ask me questions, and I would tell them kind of a little bit about my story. Wild Siberia, we will do a live together in the near future. I'm looking forward to it, brother. Yes, please, let's do it. Wild Siberia. A lot of people call men like us traitors for having served in the U.S. military. That's a topic I want to cover. That's probably going to be a very interesting topic, and I'd love to hear about that too. I've noticed I had a couple of comments from Russians, actually. Not many, but a few. You know, I try to respond to everybody. I try not to overlook things. The channel is growing fast, but when I was going through the comments, I've had people tell me that if we move to Russia, to cover up my tattoo, you know, to cover up my U.S. Army tattoo, saying that I'm going to have problems there. Now, I was in Russia for a period of about 4 months, consecutively. I lived there with my family in 2021. I've never had an issue like that. People saw my tattoo. I physically told people I served in the U.S. military, so I have not come across any of that experiences. In fact, it was just the opposite. I've talked to many people who actually served in the Russian military themselves, who understood the camaraderie. So I did not even have a thought of having any type of issues like that. So I'm not sure as to why people say that, but if it exists, it exists. I'm not denying that it's true. I hope that's not the case. That's something I think Dan just mentioned, Wild Siberia, that he's going to explore more. It should be very interesting to hear about. Жареная свинина. Ну да, мы же южные. Тут своя движуха. Сергей Лапин был в Ростове мимо летом. Okay, last summer. You were in Rostov-on-Don a summer or a few summers ago. Да, мы против татух. Почему? Я встретил там много тату-артистов. I met so many people in Russia that are completely covered with tattoos. Guys, are you serious? Like, okay, well, I understand, you know, some people don't like tattoos. I mean, if people are going to judge me by what I have, by what I look like, or what I wear on my skin before they get to know me, then, you know, I don't want those people in my life anyway. So that's okay with me, you know. It's a cheap price to pay. But okay, you know, if that's the case, I mean, we're not living in like, what, 1980 anymore, 1950s anymore, right? It's 2023. People really have problems with tattoos. Maybe the older population. And I'm sure people are going to have their thoughts and opinions on things. But like I said, I lived in Russia for a period of 4 months. We did not come across any problems for me. And I have a lot of tattoos. People were actually very interested in them. Okay, Americans, Dan, Wild Siberia, Americans call me traitor for being a Marine who lives in Russia. That's what I'm saying. Aha, okay, I misunderstood you. I'm sorry. Yeah, I could understand that. I could understand that happening. I think it's silly. I think it's ridiculous. I think that somebody, as an American citizen, has no right to say anything, especially to somebody that went and swore, took the oath, and basically, you know, put his life on the line for this country. You know, no, you know, to me that just comes across as ignorant, arrogant, and uneducated people. I would ask them, have they served themselves? And if they have, then I can't find myself believing that people would talk like that. Somebody that served in the military, it doesn't matter what country you're from. It's a brotherhood. And so it's always a bond and a common ground that you could find with somebody, regardless of when they served. You know, when I served, like I mentioned earlier in the beginning of this chat, guys, we talked a little bit briefly about that, my time in service, but I was stationed in Italy. And during my time there, we did a lot of training with the Italian paratroopers. Amazing guys. We had Polish troops. Again, we were able to bond. So there's a big veteran community, no matter what country you're in. So I think that for somebody to say, as an American citizen, that you're a traitor for living in Russia as a Marine, once a Marine, always a Marine, hoorah, that's just a completely perverse, absurd, ridiculous thing to say. And I would challenge that person or those people to do some soul searching. Moving on. Thank you for that comment, Dan. It's freaking ridiculous, man. Charlie Camp, Ed, I admire your positivism and applaud your plans to give your daughter a better education and a life away from all the mental illness that the Western world is creating now for us. Yes. And Charlie, thank you, Charlie Cam. I talk about this thing a lot with my wife, and I often say that we have a severely big problem here with mental illness. And it's funny because the government likes to address that, and they'll say something along the lines of, well, we have a big mental illness problem. But it's almost like a vicious loop because they end up blaming mental illness on the mental illness. And then what do you expect when you have kids as young as 4, 5, 6 years old. Kids that I, as a barber, when I worked as a barber, not long ago, I worked as a barber for many years. I have met mothers that came to me with their sons, with their children, that I was cutting their hair, 5, 6 years old, taking antipsychotic medications like Ritalin. And then they wonder, because they go to a psychiatrist, the minute they see their kid acting a little bit different, and they think automatically that there's something wrong with them, so they take them to the psychiatrist or a therapist. The therapist validates them, and because they can recite quotes from a book or whatever, DSM manual, a diagnostic, the parents take it and they run with it. And a lot of people, unfortunately, you know, they don't know how to think critically. They don't do the research. They don't read. They don't think for themselves. And they take whatever the doctor says as gold, and they start giving these kids these medications, which often they're on for a long time, if not in many cases for the rest of their lives. And yes, we have a problem with mental illness in this country. Absolutely. But we're exacerbating. We're feeding the problem. And I'm sorry, guys, that I'm raising my voice, because it's something I'm really, you know, passionate about this subject. It's a very controversial topic for me. It's something that I find absurd, but I'm powerless to say anything or do anything about it. I can speak about it all I want, but essentially we have a culture here of a mentally ill culture, and the mental illness literally gets blamed back on the mental illness, and we get nowhere. At the same token, I know in Russia, mental illness is approached a little bit differently. I can't speculate on that too much because I was not there myself to experience how they approach it. But all I know is that everybody is not being pumped full of pills, because a lot of people, I know so many people here that are on pills. They cannot live without pills, or they cannot function without pills. Guys, listen, having some level of anxiety is good for you. That is your natural fight or flight response. Today, the minute people have any sense of anxiety, they forget that this is our evolutionary mechanism. This is Darwinism. This is survival of the fittest. And people try to medicate themselves out of it. And it's a problem. That's all I can say, guys. I don't want to go on too much of a tirade and a rant. Charlie Camp, thank you for that lovely comment. L.A. Thorn the Martian, I just bought myself a Ushanka off Amazon. Even came with the USSR currency as a gift. Yes, so when we were in Moscow with my wife and daughter, during our last trip, we bought them for each other as well. We stood out like big tourists. It's no different than people who go to New York and buy those I Love NY shirts with the hearts on them. Yeah, we definitely stood out as tourists, but we didn't care. We were having a blast. We were having fun. We weren't trying to come off as if we weren't tourists. You know, we were in the country, and people smiled at us. I don't know. Actually, not many people smile, but those who knew us, they got a kick out of it. Dan, thank you so much for joining. See you guys. Thanks for supporting each other. Stay classy, my bros. Dan, thank you so much for tuning in to the chat. We all appreciate you coming by and stopping by to say hello. Thank you. Guys, it is getting late. I think that it would be a good idea to start just about wrapping this chat up. I'll read a couple of more of your comments, and then before I sign out, I do have to put my daughter to bed. She's still awake, and she likes to stay up late. It's 8 o'clock at night. It's a Friday here. We're going into the weekend, so I'm giving her some extra time. But let me read a couple of your guys' comments before we get out of here. Charlie Cam, again, I want to say thank you for your comment. I appreciate that, and back at you, man. Daniel PRW, it's not like in Japan. L, yes, we have some things in common, but at the same time, we have big differences. Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of similarities in a lot of ways that you would only be aware of if you've lived here or in Russia. And there are definitely quite a few differences, especially when it comes to friendship and relationships, traditions and cultures. I agree. Sergey Lapin, Americans are people with short attention span in a good way. I would agree with that. I would say yes and no. I would say that social media isn't quite helping the problem. So yes, you are correct. Гузел Кадирова, в России вообще очень хорошо. Особенно для детей. Намного лучше, чем в США. Я с этим согласен. Летаю пару раз в год в родной Челябинск. Живу в Петербурге из Пенсильвании. Окей, здравствуйте, Гузел. When we were in Russia during our last trip, we were there for a period of 3 to 4 months, 3.5 months, or something like that, somewhere around that area. And we ended up putting our daughter at the time, who was basically 4 going on 5, into a Russian kindergarten, a детский садик, a детский сад. And we were a little bit nervous, of course. You know, when you're a parent, you have a child, you know, you're in a, I guess to us at the time, it's essentially a new country. It's a foreign country. It's not where we grew up. Even though I was born there, I was still considering myself a tourist there. I was still getting to know things. And we sent her to this детский сад, which is a Russian daycare. And guys, I will tell you, I was blown away. Our daughter started integrating so fast. Everything that people told us about kids being able to communicate through play, body language was all true. She was very happy there. She started to thrive there. And even though she was there for a very short amount of time, she loved it. They sent us constant updates from the sadik, the daycare. Sadik is daycare for my American English-speaking people. And constantly gave us updates, sent us videos on her progress. And we would always talk to our daughter after we picked her up. How was your day? How was it? Number one difference, guys. Russian daycare, they sleep in beds. In our daycares here, it's very common for children to sleep on either cots or, if not cots, on yoga mats on the floor, essentially. I don't know why that is, but that's how that is. So the fact that she actually slept in an actual bed with an actual mattress, where she had to take her actual shoes off to go to bed, not just to go to bed, but to enter the daycare, the kind of food that she ate there was very impressive. They fed them very well. We were very impressed, to say the least. Guys, there's 36 of you here. We have 48 likes. Guys, before we get out of here, please hit that thumbs up. Smash that like button. We have 36 of you guys. 195 views. Awesome. Fantastic. So we got some pretty good engagement today. Awesome, guys. Okay, guys, it looks like, I don't know what happened here. Are you guys still hearing and seeing me? If you are still here, I would like to say, first of all, I would like to say thank you for everybody who tuned in and joined the chat, who joined the stream. This is our very first stream. Once again, I wasn't planning on doing a stream. I was literally just setting up my equipment to see if my audio and visuals will work. Apparently they do. You guys definitely let me know that everything was good to go with that. So guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I want to wish you all, you know, all of the warmest greetings, season's greetings, no matter what holiday, no matter what you're celebrating, no matter where you are in the world right now watching. I want to thank you guys for being a part of this channel, a part of this community, a part of this growing community. Let's get this message out. I would appreciate it kindly if you guys share these videos, share this live, tell a friend, text the link to the live to somebody you know. If you want to watch it or you are unable to catch the whole thing, please watch it from the beginning when you guys get a chance. I want to say thank you to everybody who tuned in. My friend Neil, Dan, Jonathan, American in Russia, LA, Thorn the Martian, Woomy24, Sergey Lapin, LLA, Guzel Kadirova, Daniel PRW. I want to shout everybody out. Veritas. There's many of you guys here. Жареная Sanina, Spasiba, Erdem Tabdamov. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Woomy24. Guys, it was fantastic getting to know each and every one of you and getting to interact with you a little bit. I'm sorry we're pressed on time. I have to put my daughter to bed. It is a little bit past her bedtime, and I'd like to spend a little bit of time with her before we do that. So once again, guys, I mentioned this a couple of times in the stream. I created a Telegram channel. I don't have the link on me right now. I will make sure that for the next chat, I will have it prepared. But you could find both links to both the chat and the main group in every single one of my recent videos, my recent uploads from the last several weeks. My most recent video, my last recent video has it. Just click on the video, go in the description, and my Telegram channels are highlighted with a blue dot. Please join both, subscribe so we can keep the conversation going. On that note, guys, I'm going to answer one last question. Жареная свинина. Ed, what was your motivation to serve in the army in the past? I can tell you from experience, the way it came into my mind, I was about 15 or 16 years old, and I was living in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, New York. And I remember walking down the street and seeing my first soldier in person in uniform. And I was extremely impressed. And I said, I want to be like that guy. Not only that, but I've been through so much shit in my life, from my very abusive upbringing in childhood. I felt like I had something to prove to myself. And not only that, I wanted to prove to myself that I rightfully deserve to have a place in this world, to have a place in this country. I felt, I don't know, I had this this notion of duty and patriotism, and I felt like it was just the right thing to do. I knew it was the right call. I wanted to serve in the military, and I remember being in junior year, my 11th grade, junior year of high school, sitting in history class. And I remember the teacher asking the classroom, going around the class and asking everybody to raise their hand and answer this question: what do you guys plan to do when you graduate high school? And everybody around me was saying things like, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to go to college university, I'm going to go to SUNY, I'm going to go to CUNY, whether in-state college, out-of-state college. And I was the only one that said, I'm going to go into the Army. At that point, my mind had been made up. And my teacher, my history teacher, guys, check out how crazy this is. My history teacher pulled me to the side after class and said, Eddie, if you go to the military, because that was right around the time the conflict with Iraq and Afghanistan was just kind of panning out. And 9/11 happened shortly after that, shortly before that, actually. She said, Eddie, if you go to the Army, you're going to die. You're going to get killed. And the way that she said it, it'll never leave my mind. It's almost as if she was saying that people who serve in the military are stupid. And that boiled my blood to hear, because of all people, this was our U.S. history teacher telling her student that anybody who goes to the military is a dumbass, essentially, which pissed me off, boy, let me tell you. And after that, I was like, wow, I think I called her out on it. I don't remember what my exact words. I was younger. I was a teenager. This is a very long time ago, guys. But I remember after I had graduated from basic training and airborne school, jump school, I came back to New York on leave for about a period of a week. And I went to my high school where I grew up, where I went to school. And I went to go visit that teacher fully in uniform. And you know, it's funny because she didn't call me a dumbass then. She said, wow. So it just, you know, I didn't go there to prove any points or anything, but I don't know why I'm telling you guys. I just thought it was relevant. I thought it was an interesting story. It's something that really happened. But it's really messed up that somebody that's teaching history, and this happened, guys, in 2002, you know, at that time where, you know, after 9/11, where people were basically, Americans were united. Americans were united against all this evil stuff that was happening, all these terrible things that happened, these events that happened in our country. And for a teacher, especially a history teacher, to say something like that to one of her students, well, you know, as you guys know now what's going on in the States, it's a very sad, it's a very terrible, unfortunate thing. Right now, they have far bigger problems, far bigger worries about what the teachers are telling our kids these days. On that note, guys, I don't want to get too crazy political. I once again want to thank everybody for watching. We had 52 likes on this video, 34 viewers, 202 views. Send this video to your friends, family, relatives, whoever you want to see the stream. And MPV, where in Bensonhurst? I used to work at 65th and 18th Avenue. So I grew up on 85th Street and 19th, between 18th and 19th. My grandparents at one time lived on 65th, somewhere in the 60 streets, back where Bird of 67 used to be, which was now Telco. I don't know if that's still there. MPV 019. Wow. Small world, man. Welcome. Thank you. What part? You worked at what school did you go to? How old are you? Very interesting. Nice to meet you. What's your name, by the way? Wumi, I think most people who want to serve do so out of desire to protect their family, motherland, friends. Wumi 24, yes, I agree. It's essentially how I felt at the time. Like I said, I joined up shortly after 9/11 happened. I was watching what happened with my own eyes. I wasn't right there, but I watched the airplanes hit the buildings when I was in high school out of my window, you know, and I can't even describe it. It was the most horrible, scary thing I've ever seen in my life. It was like a movie, you know, and it was really happening, and I couldn't wrap my mind around it. But I knew, you know, I was completely convinced after that moment, like I had to serve in the military, and that's exactly what I did. So I went on my 17th birthday, June 16, 2002. And I signed up for the Army. I was still in high school. I was scheduled to graduate. We had a program called the Delayed Entry Program, and I signed myself up to the Army. My mom was more than happy to sign me off in the paperwork and sign off for me, because you needed an adult's consent, permission, if you were under the age of 18. But yeah, I graduated. I did not even go to my graduation ceremony. I did not go to graduation. And July 3rd, 2003 is when I went and left to my basic training down in Fort Benning, Georgia. Where I went to a basic training, airborne school, and ranger indoctrination program, which I flunked out of, by the way, and passed the second time around after being in holdover. That was another type of hell, guys. Okay, we could talk about this more some other time, guys. Thank you so much for everybody who joined and tuned into this live stream. Again, I wish you guys all, if we don't happen to do another live stream before the next holiday, which I imagine we will for sure, because I think this one went extremely well, and I'm very happy, very pleased to have everybody to interact with my subscribers and to get a chance for us to get to know one another. But I look forward to seeing you guys in my future videos, future live streams. Thank you. That's all I could say from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys for tuning in. Shout outs to everybody who popped in here tonight. Shout outs to Dan, my friend Jonathan, American Russia, who's currently in St. Petersburg. Please subscribe to their channels. Amazing guys, amazing quality content. And I'm sorry, guys, if I babbled way too much. I think I got way too excited over this live stream. Seriously, though, I'm really glad to have had this opportunity to get a chance to answer some questions, to tell you guys a little bit more about myself. I believe you guys have a right to know. So, how do I end this? I'll say, до свидания, друзья. Счастливо всем. Благодарю вас за то, что вы часть нашего канала. До свидания. Спокойной ночи, если вы в России. Или доброе утро вам. And good night to my friends watching from the United States. All right. Take care, guys. Thank you. See you soon.